It would be funny if he's actually listening and just hearing us. Oh, yeah, about. There you go.
It's even water resistant. Every year, over 8 million pets are.
Aha!
There you are.
Oh, you guys listen to me now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
We hear you
shit.
now.
Hey, shit. This is the first time I'm doing this. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, and I hate all this fingering, typing in this with 2 fingers.
Yeah, I know. Better to type with your mouth than you type with your fingers.
Much better, my friend. As a matter of fact, we're talking about beer, and I'm having a Peronis. I'm drinking a Peronis.
Yeah. So I've been to your YouTube channel. I was wondering where you got your degree in neuroscience, such that you feel you're qualified to go as radically against the consensus as you have.
Oh, no. I don't have a neuroscience degree at all. No, of course not.
Okay, then why do you make up a mental illness and then diagnose people with it?
I'm not no, I know, but I'm not diagnosing anybody at all. I'm just using my brain to actually see the reality of it all. Because remember, you don't have to be a neuroscientist to realize that we were created by a fuck. I mean, we're all created by a fuck, right?
You have to be a neuroscience to say that every instance in which this belief is held, or every instance in which this belief is held by an educated person, is the result of a mental disorder. And not only that, you go on to describe it as similar to schizophrenia. It seems like you either need to be a neuroscientist or be reading a neuroscientist.
Wait a minute. No, do you have to be a geologist? You have to be an astrophysicist to know about gravity, that if you drop something you drop something, it's going to be attracted by the earth because of gravity? No, you don't need that. In other words,
why it happens?
That when I say that, I have the scientific consensus of people who are experts to back me up. You, when you talk about Christ psychosis, do not have such a thing.
Wait a minute. Do you know about schizophrenia?
Yes, I do know what schizophrenia is.
Not as much as a professional, but I mean, we've seen some.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but wait a minute. Do you see, the thing is that what do you use to create thoughts with?
My brain?
Exactly. How is the brain created?
It develops in the embryo, which is the result of sexual intercourse, ultimately.
Exactly. And it produces thoughts. What happens when the brain malfunctions? For instance, I can give you, like people,
there are hundreds of ways the brain can malfunction, all of which produce different effects.
Exactly. If you believe, if you are brought up and you're young, okay, and you're an atheist because in the moment you're born, you don't have belief at all. You're picking up information during the imprinting period, and of course. That's the reason, people are born in China, they're learning Chinese. And if you don't have any information at all, and the stimulation on the brain, you'll retard. You'll never be able to absorb that because you just pass that stage of the imprinting period. But, the thing is that if you believe your brain, you have a malfunction in your brain, and I forgot the name of the gene, but there's some genes that are malfunctioning in your brain because we're a product of genes. We have genes in our system. But anyway, if you start believing, you're brought up in this family, and all of a sudden you start really believing in let's say Winnie the Pooh, and let's say the Tooth Fairy, and they tell you that, and you grow up and you believe in that because those feelings of fantasy creates dopamine in the brain. There's neurotransmitters, serotonin, oxytocin, and then you have all the dopamine in the brain. It makes you feel good, so you keep believing, and you go to school. And they give you all this information, this elementary school or whatever, they're teaching you things, and you're learning grammar and you're learning all that, but you're conditioned by the whole society with all these different beliefs, whatever it is. If you have believing in resurrecting zombies, let's say if your parents are Christian, you believe in a resurrected zombie that says with blood, and it makes you feel good, and they they read the Bible, and there's so many Bibles. I mean, there's as many Bibles as you can have. But anyway, they actually tell you that, and your parents tell you that. If your friends are Christians, they believe that, and if all the guys are Christian but a Catholic type, then they tell you this, and that's not correct. And then another one is Adventists that tell you that. And then you have the Mormons, which are also Christians, because they live in a resurrected zombie, but they added more fantasies to, like Joseph Smith and the Mormons. And you have all that. So you are into all this atmosphere of people that believe in the fantasies. And they have university to teach about the fantasy because they cannot explain reality. So that's what happens. So, what about a schizophrenic? If you have a problem with your brain, you're still believing in imaginary friends of reality. That's the thing. So it's all created in the brain.
Well, that's because there's a level of consciousness even in that.
Yeah, but it's created in the brain. I mean, if you're believing, let's say, if you get educated and you learn grammar and you learn, all this, and you go to school and you go to university and your parents are very Christian, but let's say Adventist or something, and then you have a different version of the zombie Jesus belief, and you have a different Bible, but you believe it. In the deep inside of you, you believe this stuff. You're very faithful. It makes you feel good. But then you have a degree in whatever. You can get a degree, becoming a dentist or a doctor or whatever. And you have this, but you still, what is this was created? All this was created, and you cannot put everything together. But you always say, zombie Jesus did it, and you keep reinforcing everything every time you go to church. You keep reinforcing that. Then you get married. And then you have another girl, and then sometimes you doubt it, but you don't understand other sciences, so and you're a doctor, and you hold this degree. So in my view, what about a guy that is the same way, but he believes in aliens that are actually inside his brain, that they place devices in his brain to monitor his thoughts. So, and he believes this completely, but he has a doctorate degree, and he's very intellectual and all that, but he believes these aliens are there, some they're implanting all this stuff in his brain, and he has it in there. But he believes that, so he puts aluminum foil on top of his TV. I have friends like that, because I've studied this for like over 30 years, So anyway, all over the world. But anyway, they say this guy does this. And then the other guy is very Catholic, very Christian. And he's a doctor and all that, and he's married, happily family, goes to church all the time. But he has to believe, he goes to the church, and he actually kneels down, and he makes him feel very good when he knows that if he believes in the resurrected zombie that saves with blood and all that, he will redeem him and feel, and then he has a protective angel, guardian angel or something, and he can actually kneel down and he can talk in his heart. And actually, heart is a pump. These idiots, these Christian people, that they don't realize that all started from in Egypt. The idea of the heart being the organ to think with, and it's because they had no idea about the brain. So anyway, that's where it comes from.
I believe
So anyway,
Sigmund Freud tried to make that correlation between Christian origins and
yeah, of course,
Christian religion.
Yeah, but
I think you're thinking of Jung.
Yeah, but the thing about it, Freud is that, it was Jewish, and he brought up, because see, the thing that happened is that the Jews they used to be merchants, 3,000 years ago. They were actually raiders, not merchants, but raiders in the Egyptian coast, or the pharaohs. And what happened is that these people, were raiders, sea raiders, and they were really, they were screwing up all the pharaohs were all pissed off. So finally, Ramses III finally defeated them. Finally, they got them onto slavery. That's where all the Jews come from. They were buried, all these Semitic tribes, all these things all together. They were finally conquered. And then Ramses III, and there's a big mural that shows all this stuff, the defeat of the sea people. And there were different tribes, all gosh, there's so many names, but they're all these, oh gosh, I forgot the names. But anyway, all these different names, Semitic names. And he
You're
actually
talking about
decided.
Shem and Joseph and Israel and Jacob and.
Well, yeah, I mean, no, they didn't exist. They're just names. But I'm talking about different names of tribes. Okay. So what happened is that he ended up defeated them, and he ended up cutting to count them. Sometimes you count the ears, and sometimes you count, but he cut them the penis. you cut him off the penis to count the people. And that's what I related the idea of the blood sacrifice and the idea of circumcision, because in the moment and this was eventually, hundreds and hundreds and years, centuries later, that was the idea of the blood sacrifice and circumcision came about, because blood is always considered sacred and the penis is sacred, because they had no idea the sexual organs were sacred according to the Egyptian religion, because that's the way everything was created, with an act of masturbation by the god Atun. See, and this is according to Egyptian religion was that, and this even before that, 40,000 years ago, you see that in caves, all phallic symbols, because they had no idea the orgasm was sacred. That when you touch this organ of yours, you feel orgasm, and they thought that they felt that in the brain. And what happened is that they had hallucinogenic materials, like in the caves, like Glasgow and Altamira and all that, with the cave paintings, like 40,000 years ago, 30,000 and so forth. You have all these things. They are in caves. Well, what happened is they have a lot of hallucinogenic material, psychotropic substances, that they actually affect the brain, the perception of reality. And they basically what they had was atropine. Well, when you have atropine berries, or atropa belladonna, and that is the same substance that the doctors, when they examine your eyes, they use atropine. That comes from atropa belladonna. But what happens is also give you hallucinogenic, feelings and stuff. So these people, 40,000 years ago, they go in caves and they see the spirit world and they paint stuff around. They are under the influence of hallucinogenic materials, because these substances created God. In other words, God is a creation. Religion is a creation of drugs, not of God. Inspired, because you take that, and the Indians in South America do it, ayahuasca, the Native Americans in the way, peyote, Amanita muscaria, even toads, bufo alvarius, you smoke that stuff and it gets, all these things. That's what the thing originated for, affecting your brain. And then in Egypt, everything was organized. All the religions started, believing in the god Atun that masturbated, and he was actually a bisexual man. He was like hermaphrodite. Because remember, we are all bisexual by nature. Everything develops when the fetus develops, the zygote and all the blastosis, and then you have all the connection of the DNA creating your brain through the spinal cord. It starts forming, it's for, 2.5 billion years ago, when the whole thing started, 500 million years ago, when the whole thing developed, and you have the first cells and stuff. But anyway, you have the brain information, the DNA, everything with all the instructions going into the formation of that, and then the embryo, which is very similar to all animals, and then the DNA toolkit is forming a human being, from a monkey, a cat, a dog, whatever. All these things are the DNA toolkit. So we are related to everything in the planet. But anyway, these people in Egypt, they believe that this god, the god Atun, there was a god that nothing existed, but the god was hermaphrodite. If you look at a lady's clit, it's a penis with a hood and everything. And sometimes when there's a malformation and a genetic mutation, then all of a sudden the vagina does not close. And instead of forming the scrotum and forming everything else, it remains open, and then the clitoris develops, which is primordial phallus, they call it, and it becomes a penis, half a penis, and you still have, so you're a hermaphrodite. So you have it's a mess. You have two sexual organs there. And people, a long time ago, they were considered sacred people. These were like unusual things, And of course, the Catholic Church, when the Christianity became, they killed these people because there's Satan possessed and all this crap. But anyway, in Egypt...
So one people would find it sacred, one people would find it satanic.
Exactly. It depends what you view of it, because you don't understand it. See, now we know that it's, we know what it is, because we know, evolutionary biology. But for instance, in a situation like that in Egypt, they're trying to make sense of everything. So this god, Atun, was a god that was part male and part female. So he existed nothing existed. He was just there in a primordial mount. And he ended up using his hand. And the hand was his feminine self. And he took his penis, he masturbated and spit the secret river of life. And in many cases, everything they believe that the Milky Way, that's part of the milk. That's part of the Garatun. But he created everything.
I'm gonna have to correct you there. I'm pretty sure it was actually a goddess's breast milk. They believed the Milky Way was made out of.
Well, that was much later. But I'm talking about the way the people were thinking about that. Because remember, I'm talking about the Atun, about the Egyptian thing. Everything mutated because everything changes names and changes words. All the gods change name. Everything changes with cultures and languages and science and everything. Everything is a mess, because you're trying to figure out the world, and these people didn't have any idea. But anyway, you have the god that masturbated, created, the other gods with his semen and created the whole universe. So that was the god Atun. And then the whole religion began in Egypt. All this formation of religion with all these different gods trying to make sense of the world. That's what the whole thing began, like 5,000-6,000 years ago. But the first temple was like 10,000 years ago, and all phallic worship. In other words, the penis was sacred, the vagina was sacred, and it was all personified in stars and everything. But one of the first temples that they found is Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. And it's all phallic because it couldn't make sense of the orgasm. The orgasm was sacred. And this is basically what is coming to today. But today we know better. There's no such a thing as God. We create God with the brain. So we know that. And it's the beliefs that you have in your brain. If your brain malfunctions, you start being crazy. And so schizophrenia is the acceptance of false beliefs, all that as reality. And the same thing in all religious beliefs. Exactly the same. But only the educated and the educated and the uneducated and the ignorant and children have an excuse. But there is no excuse today in this 21st century for a person that is educated and go to school and all that to believe in the resurrecting zombie that says with blood because, there was a god, there was a madman and a widma.
So
all this nonsense, in all religions, all this nonsense is absolutely terrible nonsense. These people are nuts, schizophrenics. And they have this schizotypal, like Dr. Sapolsky said. And that's what I present in my meeting.
Halpern.
If I may say something. I'd say the difference between a schizophrenic and most Christians that I've encountered and spoken to, when you talk to these people,
okay.
in general, it's not like it doesn't sound like it doesn't feel the same like you're talking to a schizophrenic who's crazy.
No, I know that.
What they typically are. Let me finish. What they typically are is they are informed and or misinformed that they actually believe that some of those beliefs, as crazy as they seem, are supported by evidence. And that's generally where Christians are coming from. They think that this belief system is actually the one best supported by the evidence at hand.
Well, the Muslims think the same way. Exactly. You can talk to a Muslim doctor. Go and get into a Muslim site and they will, I'm talking about doctors. I'm talking about very well-educated Muslim scholars. You cannot convince these people that there is no such a thing as gods and there is no such a thing as angels.
Well, yeah, we know that. Halpern, let me ask you.
Yeah.
Are you saying that there isn't such a thing as a physical schizophrenia and it's always by choice?
Oh, no, it's not by choice. You're born, some people, no, it's a lot of stuff genetic. It's all genetic. Because we are nothing but evolved, mutated primates. We are primates.
So when you talk about Christians or people that believe stupid things, are you equating them with what society normally calls schizophrenic, with that people that actually depend on drugs to function?
Oh, no. Well,
oh, okay,
no,
cool. Okay,
no,
sorry.
No. Let me put it this way. Probably the word schizophrenia per se is wrong in a sense because it's very difficult.
Okay,
Remember,
cool. Thank you.
I'm talking to you in English. Now, if for instance, now you understand English, but let's say I switch and en lugar de hablarte a ti en inglés, te voy a hablar en español. y tú no me vas a entender lo que estoy diciendo. You are not going to understand anything I say because I switch to Spanish. Ou je vais parler avec toi le français. Si tu parles le français, naturellement, tu n'as pas compris ce que je vais dire maintenant because I've switched to a different language. O si parlo con te la lingua italiana, tu ne comprendi questo. Capite? Capite niente.
Shame on you, Hippo. You don't speak Italian.
Exactly, but you know what I mean. I mean, if you
And Rob.
if you go like that, or you switch languages, for instance, then it's very different because it's all. I mean, it can be anything, But you see what I'm talking about.
I don't feel you've really answered my question. I mean, if they are misinformed or informed or whatever, such that they believe even the most insane thing possible,
okay,
which is actually supported by evidence. I mean, that it's actually in the event that you believe that belief system is best supported by the evidence, it's actually rational to accept it. As opposed to your argument, which is basically an argument from incredulity, personal incredulity. A resurrecting zombie that saves from blood. That just
sure. But let's forget about the zombies. Let's think a person that was being adopted by an alien spacecraft, and let's say this person, because remember, the brain is creating a lot of stuff, and the brain is also giving you false memories. The brain is creating false memories too. So that's why you have to be very, very careful because it's constantly screwing you up. See, we are born, like evolved. We're nothing but crazy apes, crazy primates that, mutants of nature. That's what we are. And what happened is that we suffer all this problem because of our cognition. So you don't see monkeys or animals or dogs or anything like that having problems with the brain. Like all of a sudden there's a guy doing all this crazy stuff. The monkeys doing this crazy stuff. You don't see that. You don't see suffering from depression, or from this. No, but we are constantly developing new diseases on the brain. But nobody mentions if you believe in imaginary friend, God, whatever it is, and you do all these ceremonies, and you whip yourself silly because of that, and you do this, and you do this magic sprinkle thing, you do the magic water, and all these crazy religious beliefs all over the planet. Nobody equates them. I seem to be the only one that actually can see them, crazy. But
there's a reason for that. Obviously, you are the only one that does it, and that's my problem. You are not a neuroscientist. You're not qualified to discern what is confirmation bias, what is misinformation, what is cultural tradition, and what is schizophrenia, and what is a fundamentally different type of mental disorder, and what is a casually held false belief. You're not qualified to say that's schizophrenia, that is confirmation bias, that's this fault of the brain, that's that fault of the brain, that's a random guess, that's a psychological coping mechanism. You're not qualified to do that. If a competent neuroscientist, or I should say a consensus amongst competent neuroscientists, was saying the same things you are saying to me now, I would consider it. But from you, not just the lay person, but a person who displays no particular expertise or education, more so than the average Joe, no offense.
Yes.
I have no reason to take you seriously just on your gut feel that that's just too insane to be held by a mentally healthy person.
Exactly, because you don't understand a lot of stuff. You think that you don't connect the dots. This is the problem. You need to be, there's a lot of people that are competent neuroscientists and all that stuff. They are believing resurrecting zombies. There's all these people that are so-called, it's ridiculous. For instance, look at that. Look at Leonardo da Vinci. Did he have any degrees? He was completely different. He was telling people, you can educate yourself. A degree is meaningless. Meaningless. You don't seem to understand that. You can be a total, completely ignoramus, a stupid people, giving you a degree from a stupid university, and are you intelligent? No, of course not. So,
if a degree is meaningless.
Listen to me for a second. There is a guy, I had a doctor, a medical doctor, with a degree in there that was treating me, and this piece of shit asshole believes in resurrecting zombies is a Christian. And I just completely got rid of the moron. Now, would you like to be treated by a guy like that? This is my problem.
If it doesn't interfere with his work as a doctor, then I have no problem with it whatsoever.
Listen. Why don't you just talk to Dr. Orgassi? You know, a neuroscientist. You think I'm the only person that said that people that believe in God are they are schizophrenics? I'm not the only one that says it.
That believes that.
Yeah, I'm not the one that says it. You know, come on. I'm just the messenger. I connect all the dots. Look at.
My problem is I don't feel that you're qualified to connect the dots. I'd rather someone with more expertise connected the dots for me. And I mean,
well, talk to Orgassi. Talk to Dr. Orgassi, and I can give you all the sites of people that are neuroscientists that they equate. If you have trauma to the brain, it causes a spirituality. It makes you believe in God and crap like that. That is a malfunction of the brain. What do you need a degree for that? If I bunch you over the head and you're acting like a stupid idiot, if I actually take you and get a surgery and affect your brain, I can actually make you believe that whatever I am seeing can give you a shed of dots, and you think it's beautiful, and you think it tastes like a strawberry. This can be done in a lab. What degrees you want for this shit? Christians kneel down and believe in the crap like that in church, and they are morons. They are uneducated pieces of shit, imbeciles. It's in the brain. A malfunctioning brain creates malfunctioning thoughts. Why don't you get through your head? Do you need a PhD for that? Come on. Oh, I don't have a degree. So you know. Come on. I mean, come on. Of course. Do you want me to give you some datura flowers and you'll see God? I'll do that, and you'll read a Bible too. Of course. Why do you think all these religious texts were written? You know, because of people ingesting entheogens like 30,000 years ago. This is absolutely a fact. You don't have to be a PhD. You have to just learn epigraphy. I'm a member of the Archaeology Society also. And I have a few degrees. I'm not a dummy. But of course, I don't have a degree in neuroscience. So therefore I say, oh, if somebody is that crazy and I give him the drugs and the people are born mentally retarded and believe that Winnie the Pooh is real, and the Christian runs around, that is a PhD, and goes to church and goes and prays to the resurrecting somebody. Oh, it's perfectly normal.
So I actually have I have a question, because this is getting into an interesting topic of discourse. But
sure.
What did your degrees pertain to specifically?
What?
What do your degrees pertain to specifically? I just wondering.
I'm being a sculpture and artist. I'm the only hand engraver around in the valley. You know, here in Arizona. You know, art and a sculpture and a degree in psychology. I have a master's degree in psychology and all that. You know, it's just different thing. A degree in education and stuff like that. You know, in art and all that. It's not. I don't have a. Like you say, a degree in neuroscience or anything. No, no, nothing like that. Not a medical degree. No, you don't need that. I mean, I connect dots and I travel a lot. I'm well educated in all different things, but I just come up with something very simple. And I study a lot of history.
Here's the problem. You connect dots. You connect dots. You read stuff, you connect dots, you formulate your own ideas. Likewise, people like Nephilim Free do the same thing, and they come to the conclusion of young Earth creationism. And quite frankly, his qualifications are not that far below yours. If you have a master's in psychology, that's
wait a minute. No, wait a minute.
But
okay, wait a minute. You have to think this way. Were you born believing? No. You have to think this way. You have to think.
I wasn't born believing the sky is blue either.
No, but yes, but listen, what the hell you were created with? We are nothing but animals. Get that through your head. You're created by a fuck, okay? If your brain malfunctions, you have a problem. And we are all product of DNA. That's very simple. Very simple to understand. You don't need any degrees on that. You have to connect dots. You're born in a certain culture. You speak a certain language. You're born by a thing. And if you all of a sudden start, believing in all these irrational things, that you have a problem. It's that simple. And it's all.
How do you know what's rational and what's irrational?
Religion beliefs are the bizarre metamagical beliefs. They are accepted. They are in neurological disorders, and they are also all religious faith have bizarre metamagical beliefs accepted as reality. True or false? True or false?
Okay, Pizzo. I would say false. Pizzo, you are not going to tell me, as someone who's so ignorant of Christianity, you call Jesus a resurrecting zombie that saves with blood. You do not have the right to comment on anything about what Christians believe or how insane it is.
Right? Why? They believe in that crap. Why don't I call it nuts? If somebody comes around and bends down and believes in all that crap in the 21st century, they are sick people. They have a problem with the fucking brain. Really? I mean, if you come around, if I give you a goddamn datura flower, you'll suck my dick. Because you're believing all this God, and if I mention you, if I screwed up your frontal lobes and stimulating, and you won't even know who you are. I can put any thoughts you want in it. I'm influencing your brain. That's what you're thinking with. Don't you understand that? I mean, what do you think thoughts come from?
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, okay. Here's the problem. Yes, belief in God is originated in the brain. So is any belief that it's ever held. Your belief that you have a brain is originating from your brain. That doesn't mean that you don't have a brain.
But if you got
even if the only reason Christianity is ever believed by anybody is because those people have a neurological disorder, that in itself would not disprove Christianity. Honestly, there is no mutual exclusivity between only crazy people believing in the resurrection and the resurrection having actually occurred.
Is it true? Is it true? There is a zombie that actually, existed 2,000 years ago that actually was crucified, and he resurrected to say with his blood for a sin committed by a madman and a ribbed woman when they talked to a talking snake because they got a different fruit from a talking snake. You think that's what Christians believe? Do you think that's sanity?
If I may say, that last part is only believed by creationists, not Christians in general.
What is Christian? What does the word Christian means? Do you know what Christ?
Literally, Christ follower.
What is a Christian? Come on, define it in English.
A Christian is somebody who accepts for rational, irrational, otherwise any reason whatsoever that is someone who believes / accepts that Jesus Christ rose from the dead and was divine and rose from the dead and basically also goes on to follow him as opposed to becoming a Satanist. That's my definition.
No. Wait a minute. When did you learn that?
You're looking for something along the lines of a person.
No. Wait a minute. What's your background? What's your background? Were you born Christian or a Christian family? What kind of a psychosis you were born in?
I guess I'm 15, so I should say I am being raised in a Christian family.
That explains it. That explains it. You're 15?
Yeah.
You're 15 years old? Okay. Well, that explains it. That explains it. You're raised in a Christian family. That's the thing And this is the situation. There's so many. You know what Christian comes from? You know what the word Christ comes from?
Christ, it means anointed one in Greek.
Yeah, Christos or Christos. But you know who was the anointed one?
You were going to say Caesar, and you've never provided a source for that, so I don't believe you.
What I mean, you don't provide a source. Read books, read Latin books, read the history of the Roman Empire. Read books, and you understand what the Christian
books is not a source.
What? Read history.
I want the name of the book where you got that, the page number, so I can look into it for myself, see if the author is competent, etc.
Okay, let me give you a book. Just begin with this one, okay? Just because there's a lot of sources from ancient times. There is Appian. There is all these people that all in Latin. So I suggest you learn Latin. But anyway, if you learn, I read it in the original. You know, so if you read all this bunch of stuff, you realize what Christos means. Christos is like Moses. You think Moses was a person? Moses is a word that means son of. In other words, when you had the Pharaoh Ramoses means Ra is the sun god. Moses is a title. It means son of. It's not a person. So when you say Ramoses means son of the sun god. So this later on there was mutations. These people start believing that Moses is a real person. If Moses is not a person, it's a title. The same with Christus. Jesus Christ is a title. In other words, Julius Caesar the Christus. Okay, he was the son of Venus.
Please.
The title, Jesus Christus. The title in Greek is Archiereus Megistos. Learn Greek and you'll understand that I'm telling you the truth. These are facts. I don't bullshit. Archiereus Megistos. In Rome, in the Roman Empire, it was Latin, but all the priests spoke Greek. So Julius Caesar will be an Archiereus Megistos, which is equivalent to great builder of bridges. In other words, anointed, divine, Son of God, and all this bunch of stuff. It was a title. But the title in Latin is the title of the Pope today, means Pontifex Maximus. Pontis, or pont is puente, is bridge. Maximus, great builder of bridges, is Pontifex Maximus. But in Greek, it's Archiereus Megistos. So what happened to Julius Caesar later on, after his killing and sacrifice and all that, he was the son of Venus. His title is Archiereus Megistos. With time, it turned into Jesus Christos. In other words, it's a title. So it became two people. One that exists, and the other one nobody can find. That's why you cannot find Christ anywhere in archaeology and history. You cannot find it.
I'd like to challenge what you just said.
Well,
A historian who refers to Jesus by name would be whilst talking about I'm not sure who he refers. It was a Roman pontiff, I think, refers to that person punishing James, the brother of Jesus, and James.
Oh God! You know that phony shit? Oh, that was a phony shit. You believe
that was not. You're talking the phony one, which was actually there's dispute on whether it's phony or interpolated, which would be different. The testimony of Flavianum was, let's say it's a complete forgery just to entertain you. I'm not talking about the testimony of Flavianum. I'm speaking of the reference to James, the brother of Jesus. That reference is indisputed, but I've never heard someone say that's a fake before now.
Where? Any archaeologist will laugh at you. There's not evidence. There's zero evidence, nothing like that. The Jews were having a field day because they're making all these forgeries, all these stupid Christians believing all that crap, and they go and they believe in all this shit, and I mean, it's hilarious. And these people are nuts. They're crazy people. In Jerusalem, there is a psychological neurosis called the Jerusalem syndrome. These people with defective brains go over there and they believe Jesus is there and they are prophets and all that crap. It's called the Jerusalem syndrome. Google it. It's right there. And the psychiatrists in Jerusalem say, oh, they're nutty people. People that believe in God they have a problem with the brain. And it's a schizotypy, like Dr. Sapolsky said. He's a neuroscientist. Just Google Dr. Sapolsky. He'll teach you. He'll tell you. So, people are sometimes affected with it. And it's just like HIV/AIDS, like HIV
for me. You just said a neuroscientist believes as you do. Would you spell that name for me in the text chat?
Good. I will. Okay, it's Dr. Sapolsky, SALP. I have a lot. I'll just give him. Okay, it's Dr. Okay, it's SAL. I mean SAPOLSKI. Another one is Cosimo Urgesi. Is the last name is the University of Udine in Italy. That finding out that trauma to the brain causes spirituality. It causes the spirit beliefs and crap like that. It's all in the brain. Okay, it's Urgesis. eye. There's some people in church that there's some guy that took his eyes out. There's all these crazy people all over the place. You ought to, listen, connect the dots and listen to all these bunch of things. You see all the bunch of nuts running around. They're crazy people. If you believe in God, you have a problem with your brain. I was brought up in a Catholic family in a Christ psychotic infected country in Colombia. I have friends of mine with doctor's degree that believe in this resurrecting zombie crap. They're all Catholics. And there's something is wrong with their fucking brains. I mean, Muslims the same, Hindus the same. They're all doctors and Buddhists. They believe there's no superior being. There's nothing. You can stimulate the brain and I can give you drugs and you'll be on your knees, praying to all these imaginary friends too. And it can be anything. It can be aliens. Aliens visit the planet. People that believe in these things are crazy. The fact that we are evolved, mutated primates that create God with the brain.
You know who Ken Miller is?
Not familiar.
Kenneth Miller is he's a professional scientist and a very avid vocal anti-creationist, defends specifically biological evolution against creationism.
Okay.
Very, very, very fervently. He has great work on intelligent design. His book Finding Darwin's God is a bestseller. Now he's never made any. Now this guy, he is a vocal anti-creationist and a scientist. There's nothing insane about him whatsoever, except for by your logic, the fact that he's a Roman Catholic.
They rationalize things. See, this is the thing. They rationalize the thing. This is the problem. These people, they if you're a Roman, you know what Catholic means?
It means universal, the word.
Exactly. So it's universal Christianity. It started with Constantine. The guy was a criminal. But anyway, and they start changing things. The Catholics are brilliant. I was brought up on a non-school. Nuns. I have first communion. My family, very aristocratic, very wealthy family, prominent. And I traveled all over. I met the Pope, Pius XII. He hit me with his ring. And then I met the other. And I was like 10 years old. So I met all these people. I had first communion. I had Christ psychosis to the yin yang. Believe me. And I survived. But anyway, La Salle, Christian Brothers La Salle School, primo. These people are amazingly brilliant. But they are crazy. They have a problem with their brains. Because see, the moment you start believing, having false memories and all that stuff, and you keep believing and keep believing, you start believing all this nonsense. You might be brilliant, you may be a scientist and all that. You're still crazy. You still have a little problem. Because you don't zero into the effects that what we are. We create all this stuff with the brain. The brain is a very sensitive system, and it can actually create you false things. It's just like having we go with the 5 senses. We navigate the planet with 5 senses. Okay, we have the smell, the hearing, and all that, and sight, and all that. If one of those things is faulty, you have a problem. You cannot see correctly. You see blurry, and then you cannot perceive what it is. So you might say, "Oh, here is a dog over there." Well, it's not a dog. It's a goat, but it looks like it gives you the same thing when you have problem with your brain in perception. It might give you false reality for things. This is what happened to a lot of these people. Have a cognitive dissonance, neurological schizotypy, a problem that is there, but all of a sudden might flare up. It's like when you suffer from a disease and all of a sudden it flares up. This is what happens, like Jim Jones. All the People's Temple, 1978, and everything is around, the same people and all that run around and believing all this guy, and all of a sudden he took him to Guyana. Because, it was freedom over there, they can do this stuff, and end up 900 people killing themselves. 900 people in 1978.
Gunpoint. That's not exactly a good example of a psychosis.
Okay, let me give you another one. Give me another one. I don't know what examples you want. There is a lady that all of a sudden drowns her kids because Christ was telling her that. And she's, considered normal. And then, I can give you thousands. I don't know what examples you want. Well, okay, I have a friend of mine, very intellectual, very intelligent. He said, I don't tell anybody about this, but he believes he has some implants in his brain, and some alien put some implants there to monitor his thoughts. So he very, very careful. He puts aluminum foil on the TVs and stuff like that. I mean, and he's very quiet, and he's schizophrenic. You know, there's a lot of people like that. There's tons of them. You don't see them because they're all around everywhere. And there's some people that have ghosts. They have you believe in the haunted houses. That all they do to be, and, you know, the same thing. People that have a conspiracy theories. They see the 9/11. There was a conspiracy government. These people are crazy people. They are having a problem with their brain. If you believe that crap, you have a problem with your brain. And there's different tones of it. You don't have to be believing in resurrecting zombies or believing just to be crazy. To have this problem, it's just when something is false, it's a false belief, and you believe it that it's true and real, you have a problem. And it can happen if I bang you over the head, you will have trauma. If you have trauma, you might see ghosts, you might see things. And medicines do that to you. Drugs do that to you. Trauma to the brain do that to you. Disease on the brain can do that to you. You know, Alzheimer's does that, dementia. I mean, name it. I'm subscribed to the the Medical Journal of Medicine and in neurology. I'm subscription to it. I connect all the dots. So I don't have a degree, big deal. I do a lot of research and connect all this stuff. I know what these people are doing. And I don't believe anybody tells me something. I don't believe it until I do research and check out who the person, like for instance, just like Ken Miller, you know, the first thing before I start finding out who he is, I'm going to look at his upbringing and where was he born and what his family upbringing before I start, you know, then I understand his books better. When I'm telling you, don't believe it. Just do all the different research and different things. That's why you have to go with the authors. If somebody tells me something, I say, oh, okay, really? And I go and I research it, which is driving me nuts. You know, I wish I was stupid people. Then I just sit around, drink beer, and I don't care. I don't talk about this crap and enjoy my life with the rest of the other primates. You know, I would love it. But I have to do research. When somebody tells me something, I do research. And then I use reasoning, connecting dots. That's the thing, you see. So that's my situation. Where are you from? Are you from here?
I am from Missouri. I'm raised in a very religious area.
Yeah. See, that happens.
So
And you know what happens is that sometimes, you know, a lot of this stuff gets into your subconscious mind, and you already have preconceived beliefs in certain things. I mean, it happened to me. You know, you're 15 years old. I'm 70. I'm older to be 70. See, and so you see that it's like you know, I've done all kind of stuff, and I was like that too. I mean, I didn't know. So we have to always do research. We have to kind of, you know, to study different things, do research, be skeptical, never believe anybody tells you. But when you're 15 years old, you're learning things, you know, constantly learning, and that's so important. I mean, gosh, you know, you have all the computers, you have all the stuff, technology, and oh man. But is the problem when you have so much technology, because the languages start changing. If you do a lot of text messaging, everything changes, and you know, and then you depend on the calculator to do certain things. And you know, in my time, everything was done by hand. The square root, trigonometry, all that, no calculators, all that in a square rule. I mean, imagine that. So it's very different.
Yeah. May I ask you a kind of unrelated question? I've heard from certain individuals, such as Lapkine has told me, Lapkine77, he has said that you advocate full lobotomization of all people who are educated and yet religious. Is that true?
No. I'll be a fucking Christian if I was like that. It's like, no. What? No. Who said that? No, you're nuts.
Lapkine said that about you.
That's an idiot. He's a moron. Probably crashed
hold on. You don't believe religious people should be lobotomized? Just to clarify?
No. Who said that? It's an idiot. It's like saying, well, everybody that is black, like the Christians say, well, you know, I mean, racist, and you know, they should be slaves. You know, because Christianity invented racism and intolerance, and pedophilia, and the rest of this stuff. I mean, it's everywhere. The documents, I can provide so much evidence on all this stuff that I'm telling you is true. I mean, like the Roman Empire, everything was tolerant. They you know, they have no racism, no, you could be black, it didn't matter.
You
But
realize
just-
women weren't allowed. You realize that they were so sexist that a woman's testimony was not admissible in court. How the bloody hell can you call them tolerant?
Look at Egypt. Look at the rulers in Egypt. A lot of women, and you know what testimony is?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you grab your balls. You're the pater familias. And the Vestal virgins were untouchable. And things like that in Rome. No, and the goddess were women. They were very important women. In the Roman Empire, were a lot of women in Egypt especially. Egypt was very, very, it was just, they were equal. There were a lot of women have power. There was no racism. In Egypt, you study the Egyptian culture, it was just no problem. And they have all these different guys. In the moment that you have one guy, you have intolerance. And then that's the problem. And that's what the collapse of the Roman Empire, the disintegration, the starting of the Dark Ages in 325. And they're stinking, Christ-psychotics. And they're dividing into all these lunatics. And, they destroyed they buried the Egyptian civilization. The Christian assholes did that. These lunatics. But because they taught their children the same thing, and the church was in control of education. The empire, and religion and state were one, and they control of education, control the books. They write the books that they wanted. They control, and they keep infecting themselves. They were completely theotarded. They were stagnated, and that was the Dark Ages. Just incredible. And the guy that actually discovered the whole civilization again, it was an atheist, a mentally healthy person, Napoleon. He went over to Egypt with a bunch of savants. They had no idea about Egypt because he wanted to learn about Egypt. And the English were all Christians, all Christ-psychotic people, and they were after him. And Napoleon went over there with all these things in Egypt. It says 1798, Egyptian expedition. He was just a consul. He was not even emperor or nothing like that. But anyway, he was learning in Egypt, and they had no idea the things were tombed. They had no idea about hieroglyphs. They had no idea about anything. And then a lot of these savants started looking at some of the hieroglyphs, and some have these little circles around it. So they look like a rifle. They look like that's the reason they call it cartouche. They will happen to be the names of kings and important people in the cartouche. And they had no idea, but that's where the word cartouche came, the French. But anyway, and crayons too, they invented pencils. Because a lot of they bombed all the British came around, and they screwed up, they destroyed the Napoleon's fleet in Abu Qir. And they destroyed, so they were without a boat. And it was a big headache. But it's a lot of interesting story that. And then Napoleon left, a lot of the troops were there, and the British took over. And they discovered a stone in the town of Rosetta, because they had no idea about hieroglyphs at all. They had no idea what he meant. And then the British came around, they hold that stone to the British Museum, a lot of this stuff. Well, that stone is the Rosetta Stone, and it has 3 different writings. They had no idea about hieroglyphs. They had no idea about hieratic, which is a form of script of the hieroglyphs, when you write it down. But they have Greek, so they know Greek. So because of that, 3 languages was I think it was about a memorial to Cleopatra or something like that. And then it was in 3 languages, and they discover how to get the hieroglyphs and then the whole world was open. And then they had no idea, but they were tombed. These Christians destroyed everything, burned everything, built churches on top of temples. And then the Arabs did the same thing, because the Arabs built in the Kaaba, in Mecca, they all come from the cult of Julius Caesar in Rome. Everything comes from that. Even this Christmas crap, they all come from the Saturnalia. The Hajj comes from the Saturnalia. The Hanukkah of the Jews, Saturnalia. Everything comes from that. And also from Caesar, that actually was a forgiver of sins and chunder, chicken, all that. It was an amazing man. It was a son of Venus, all that. And then the cult of Diwali, the same thing too. The lights, the festival of lights. But all that comes from that. But Napoleon was being an atheist. And you know what he did when he got crowned in 1804? This was beautiful. Beautiful what he did. The Pope, it was what he used to control everything in all Christendom until Martin Luther came around in the 1500s. and split the whole church. But anyway, Napoleon, what he did, this is amazing. In 1804, the popes always controlled the whole Europe because they are the ones that crown everybody. And they control the faith all over the world. America was raped by piece of shit Christians under Columbus, disgusting men. They destroyed cultures, they burned the Mayans, all that.
So had that not happened, you would never have been born. So
what do you mean? I've been born what?
Had Columbus not come over, then you probably would have never been born.
Why do you say that? Well, I mean, if a lot of
butterfly effect.
You probably wouldn't either. But hey, I have South American native genes, so I probably would have to have been born. Yes, but anyway, the thing is that there was really a big problem there. But Napoleon took the Pope. He thought that he was going to be crowned, and you know what he did? He invited Pius VII. And he came over, he thought he was going to crown Napoleon. Napoleon crowned himself and then crowned Josephine. And and everybody, all the Christians start bad-mouthing Napoleon with this bullshit of the Antichrist crap. Everything is an Antichrist, a rapture. I think a true Christian should kill themselves. If you truly believe in eternal life and all this crap, kill yourself. What the hell are these morons doing here? The same thing with the Muslims. But the Muslims are not as bad as the Christians. Christians are despicable. The Crusade, the Inquisition, all that. I mean, nobody can beat Christian psychopathy.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna stop you there. The Crusades were psychotic on psychotic. So you by your logic.
No. Oh, yeah. But yeah, exactly. Religion is a mental illness. I don't care what name you use it for it. I mean, what name you use. What I'm saying is that the Christian is the worst of them. It's like having cancer or tuberculosis or something like that. What disease is worse? That's what I'm talking about. There's different degrees.
The Inquisition, I don't think you can really complain about that because it was Christian on Christian. So,
No, Christian on Jews and Christian on Muslims and infidels. That's what they were. Not Christian on Christians.
Not in the Inquisition. That was strictly Christian on Christian.
Really? From where? What do you think? How was the Inquisition formed? Come on, tell me.
It was because it was actually an enactment against a certain heretical sect that was saying that the Catholic Church, which was dominant at the time, was a ploy by Satan to trick people into thinking they had.
What year?
That's what the Inquisition started as, and it got out of hand and ended up killing like 2,000 people.
What year the Inquisition started?
I'm not sure.
Well, then you don't know anything about the Inquisition, man. You better get educated on this shit. I can tell you what the Inquisition started. Okay, this was the time of Columbus, 1492. You know what happened in that year, 1492? The Muslims were very, very enlightened people, very well educated. They got along with everybody. They got along with the Christians, with the Jews and all that stuff. They were not like despicable like the Christians were. This is 1492. After the Crusades, after all that shit. But anyway, in Spain, there was all this Muslims, the Kingdom of Granada, very enlightened people, very educated. They were merchants and traders. They were trading with the Jews. They're the same people. The Muslims and Jews are the same Semitic. They're cousins. They are the same races. But anyway, these people. Then you have the Christian merchants. They all got along, and they were living in Granada, on all that part of Spain. But what happened is that the Christian Europe was getting all involved into all this against the Muslims. They hated them. But what happened is that at the time there was the King Ferdinand and Isabella, of Aragon. As a matter of fact, Isabella was a crazy. They have this defective schizotypal genes, these problems with their brains, because a lot of them married with each other, have a lot of incest in Europe in those days, in royal families, to keep the lineage in there. But anyway, what happened was that Isabella, and all that, everybody's trying to do the idea of conquest. They were around exploring and all that stuff. The world they believed to be much smaller at the time. 1453, in the year 1453, Mehmed II el-Fatid, that was 18 years old, they conquered Constantinople. The last king of Constantinople, the Christian piece of shit, was actually Constantine the 11th. And the problem is that the Christians are fighting with each other, and that's the reason it was like falling, New York falling. That's what happened in the Christian, when Byzantium, it was their fault. But anyway, this guy was so smart, Mehmed el-Fatih, very generous man, very tolerant, like a lot of these Muslims at the time, very intellectual. He conquered Constantinople, and in the moment that Constantinople fell, it was in May 1453, I believe it's May 30th. 1453. And the interesting thing about it is that Constantinople was founded by the criminal Constantine on May the year 330. Isn't it amazing? Constantine founded a piece of shit May 11th, 330. And the city fell 1453 in May 30th. And the last king of Constantinople was also named Constantine the 11th. But anyway, they fell. So the Muslims controlled Constantinople. So what happened is that Europe could not go to the east, to India, to all these places to trade, because now it was a Muslim city, Constantinople. So this guy from Genoa, there's a lot of explorers, this guy named Columbus, very Christ-psychotic, schizophrenic, very stupid man, brilliant in navigation and all that, but the guy was a barbarian at the time, stupid, But anyway, he is the one that said, wait a minute, I have an idea. Instead of going through Constantinople, we can go through the ocean and go all around it to India. But had no idea that America was in the middle, okay? So this is how stupid these people were. So anyway, so he finally convinced the Queen of England, and the Portuguese were trying to do the same thing. So there was a competition between Portugal and Spain and all that. So anyway, she financed him. So he took off in these ships. There were little boats. Europe was in the Dark Ages. The Romans had huge ships. The Muslims had huge. The Chinese had huge ships. And the stupid European Christians had little ships. But anyway, they went all around, and he ran into San Salvador, Dominican Republic, and then he said he discovered America. He didn't discover shit, but he brought all this thing. Well, guess what happened in 1492? 1492, the Moors, the Muslims that were in Granada, they finally said, okay, you Christians can have Granada now. But the last king of the Sultan in Granada was a very nice guy named Boabdil. So he made a surrender pact with the Christian people around, because they were, Spain was surrounded by all these Christians. So he said, okay, to Isabella, and they said, I give you Granada, but you have to respect the rights of everybody here. And all the Muslims and the Jews and everybody, all the merchants and all that, respect and all that. And they signed the document. And then he surrendered the kingdom of Granada in the same year, 1492. Okay, so anyway, now the Christian piece of shit, they took over Granada. So now Isabel, the devoted Christ-psychotic imbecile, along her, she was a crazy woman, along with her, she said, well, now we have Jews here and Muslims here, but if you want to stay in Spain, you have to convert to Christianity. That was against the treaty. You have to be a Christian. So if you convert, you have to be. And a lot of people have all these merchants, they have all this business, they have all this bunch of stuff. So a lot of the Jews says, okay, we'll convert. The ones that didn't convert, they left Spain. Most of them, and they left Spain. But a lot of people have all these businesses there, they had to convert. So the Spanish called the Muslims that converted, they call them Moriscos, like Moors, black people. It's a kind of like calling somebody a nigger. It's a derogatory term. And the Jews that converted to Christianity, they call them pigs, marranos in Spanish. Okay. But then Queen Isabella got her priest confessor, because everything was controlled, the church and all that. He said, well, I have to have a police, a religious Christian police, to be sure that the Jews are converted. and the Muslims are converted. So that was the Inquisition, the oidores. And these people are police that they watched the Jews, that they, they ate, they ate pork and all that stuff, and they just checking them out. But what happened is this: if you take and you want the money of a Jew at the business, the only thing you have to do is you go to the Christian police, to the Inquisition, and you say, "Hey, Joe Berg over there, I think he hasn't converted because I seen that he doesn't eat pork and he has a menorah and all that bunch of stuff." So they go over there and check it out, and that's what the Inquisition was established. The main guy was Tommaso Torquemada. You got that now? Falling asleep.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's the Inquisition, and that's the way the whole story started. And the Spanish have the Inquisition. Columbus and all these people have all the inquisitors. And they fucked up the Indians, they stole their culture, they imposed Christianity to it, and they were lunatics. That's what happened. They did that to New Zealand, they did that to Australia, that everywhere they went. So anyway, so that's what it is. So that's what the Inquisition started. So anyway, listen, I have to run because I have to do a bunch of stuff around here. So it's very nice talking to you.
It's a very interesting story.
Yeah.
Like listening to it.
Thank you, friend. I have to check all this stuff out, and then you start connecting all the dots and connecting all this stuff, and you see all this stuff coming from, So, and I don't believe it. I mean, somebody tells me something, I say, oh yeah, but then I do research. Oh gosh, it's crazy. My brain is going to explode, man. I wish I was dumb. Then I can just go around and have a beer with my friends. I don't worry about anything. I don't care about things, and who cares, and nothing, I'll have be more fun, it's like, gee, But anyway, I always have to check out, and if it's not true, believe me, I would not post it. If I see something that is so stupid and bizarre, and I cannot actually prove it by connecting all these dots, then I will just
like Christianity being derived from penis worshippers, that kind of insane belief.
Well, it's not insane. Actually, it's phallic worship started 4,000 years ago. It's all over the caves, everywhere. So that's what the whole thing started, and began with an act of masturbation. So that's the reason I call it penis cry, because really, all the church, all the sacred thing in Egypt, when you put your hand in the sky and you worship the penis, that's going to give you the sacred milk. It's nothing pornographic. It's just that, and that was adopted by the Roman Empire, but all the phallic things, the phallic gods, you see them everywhere, and Priapus and all that gives you orgasm. Because remember, when you have a sacred ceremony in church 30,000 years ago, the temples are dark, you have all these hallucinogenic materials that you eat, you get horny, and then all of a sudden you enact creation with a lady, and you worship and all that stuff, and you come. In the moment that you come, you have orgasm. Orgasm feels good, and you think it's from the gods. That's where the whole thing started. So when you're actually kneeling down and clasping your hand and worshiping God, you're sucking dick. Basically what amounts to. And they don't do it correctly. The Muslims, the same thing. When they bow down, when they want to get fucked, that's the prostate gland. No matter what you do, no matter how straight you are, if you touch, the prostate is touched, it stimulates, it makes you feel good. If you have sex with your girlfriend and she starts stimulating your anus and all that stuff like that, man, you come real fast. I mean, it's just, that's nature. And that's what in ancient times was sacred. It was the gods doing it. So that's the reason why I call it penis Christ, because that's what it is. I mean, I'm a god. I can get any lady and I say, hey, come on, let's have a religious ceremony. I make penis, you have to suck my dick to make penis Christ resurrect. He resurrect, I screw the lady, I shoot my river of life, and 9 months later I have a kid. And if I get all this bunch of ladies pregnant, I have all this bunch of my DNA all over the place. So I'm God. I created all these people. But if you pray anything and you say, oh, the creator is your dick. So, that kind of stuff. Anyway, I have to run, so it's been really a pleasure, guys.
Yeah, thanks. It's nice talking to you.
Oh, it's really a pleasure. You're 15 years old. You have the whole goddamn world ahead of you, man. God damn. That's awesome. You have to, read as many as you can, books, get fit. You never believe anything. Even if I say something, don't believe it. Just just do research and all that when you stuff and see if I'm telling you the truth. You know, like if I'm wrong on something, you know, you correct me, and I check the books and all that, because we don't know anything. We are ignorant people. You know, we're all ignorant. You know, the thing we should know is that we don't know nothing. But we are product of a fuck. That is the truth. We create thoughts with the brain. That's the truth. You know, I mean, we were product of a star. That's facts. You know, all this stuff are science.
Can I correct you on one last thing before you go? You often say we are product of fuck, not stork. Are you under the impression that Christianity teaches that that is not the case?
Oh, no. No, what I'm trying to say is that when I say, you know, don't take me literally. When I'm saying we're proud of a fuck, not a stork, it's like saying that we are created by science. We are not product of any God. That's what I'm trying to say. That's the equivalent. You know, because people believe
about 2 + 2 = 4, not 6, which you will say on occasion.
Exactly. Because see, what happens is that religion believe in imaginary friends, something that are completely irrational, that are not true. It's like saying 2 + 2 = anything but 4, because all religions have this stuff with no evidence to back them up. So that's the reason I say that. It's just like religion, in other words, is bullshit. It's like you believing all this stuff that are not real. It's like aliens came around and they built the pyramids and, you know, go for abduction. I mean, prove it. Aliens, where are they at? You know, I mean, come on. I want to see some evidence. And you see what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. You know, it was facts talk, bullshit words. You know, where you have, and that all religious people in the world, all of them believe in either rational, imaginary friend to the reality. All of them. Religion is based on bizarre beliefs. And that's exactly the same with neurological malfunctions, bizarre beliefs. That's the reason. You talk to, just check Dr. Sapolsky. Then they explain about the schizotypy, which can develop into schizophrenia. In other words, if I'm a doctor and all that, and I believe that I'm possessed by demons, or demons can possess you and all that, and I have a PhD and all that, this is in the back of my mind, and all of a sudden I can blow up. I can develop thinking that a person is over there is really a demon. I go and kill them. And I say, you know, this possessing is killing them. And all of a sudden I'm convicted of a crime, and I'm a person that being very good and with my kids and family. All of a sudden I exploded. And this happens many times, and you don't know why these people acted the way they acted, and they should study their religion. Where the religion of they never do. They never question the person's religion. Never. You never see in the news, oh, this woman killed these people, this guy killed his father and mother, killed the kids. Nobody questions religion. No one. And that's a problem. Okay, so all the best to you guys. Have a really good sleep and good night. And, you know, you can have a really good night. You know, if you control your dreams and control stuff, you can have a tremendous night by having all these adventures in your mind when you go to sleep. I do that all the time. So you're flying and you're doing all this stuff, you do all this crazy stuff in your dreams, and they appear reality. And you smell, but you don't have a nose. You see, but you don't use your eyes. You know, you do all this stuff because in the dream, the brain is within itself doing all this stuff. So, okay. Anyway, have a good one, everybody.
Later.
Good night.
Night.
Anthony, are you there?
Yeah.
Anthony, as a duly appointed emissary of your atheist overlords, I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday and congratulations on another trip around the sun.
Okay. So, what did everyone think of that little interaction there?
Calpern Pizzo is great. He's an awesome guy.
Hey, that was some of the most entertaining stuff I've ever heard on. I mean, we have to have him here
Ouchie
more
Wawa,
often.
you got that recorded, right? Okay,
I told
save
you
that
uploaded,
shit.
right?